For 100 years, people have been getting their kicks on Route 66. This legendary highway, once stretching from Chicago to Los Angeles, still draws travelers from around the world, chasing the spirit of the American road trip. And nowhere is that story more alive than in Will County, home to the first 100 miles. Here, history isn't just remembered, it's still part of the journey. When Route 66 opened in 1926, America was roaring into the automobile age. Illinois was the first fully paved stretch in the country. Back then, Will County was a patchwork of farming towns like Manhattan. Route 66 carried new economic opportunities as it linked small towns to one another and to larger cities like Joliet. At the time, Joliet was the county's bustling hub. Route 66 wound down Chicago Street past the Joliet Library, a historic limestone building designed by renowned architect Daniel H. Burnham, and the impressive new Rialto Square Theater, opened in May of 1926 and still dazzling audiences today. The first alignment of the Mother Road passed through canal towns like Lamont and Lockport, communities built on the success of the Illinois and Michigan Canal. In Lamont, it passed in front of the Budnick Building, completed in 1927. Travelers might have pulled into Huster's garage for service or slipped into Tom's Place, a Prohibition-era tavern that's still owned by the same family. In Lockport, Route 66 ran along State Street, passing the historic Gaylord Building, once a canal warehouse. Built in 1838, it's now home to art, dining, and the I&M Canal Museum. Visitors can walk from the Gaylord Building through Lincoln's Landing along the canal to another historic landmark, the Norton Building, once a canal trade hub. It's now the Illinois State Museum, Lockport Gallery. Nearby, Heritage Village showcases restored Will County buildings, including a Simerton train depot. Lockport takes its name from the first lock on the I&M Canal, an engineering marvel still visible today. Farther south, in Chenahan, visitors can explore another preserved canal lock, walk trails, and stand at the meeting point of three rivers. In 1928, Route 66 shifted to run through Romeoville, bypassing Lockport and Lamont. The route now passed White Fence Farm, a 1920s horse farm stopover that became a Route 66 institution. The Hastert family has been running it since 1957, and today visitors still come for their fried chicken, antiques, and alpacas. Romeoville has been a part of the Route 66 legacy since 1939. Travelers came to Romeo Beach until it closed in 1973. But there's still plenty of history to see today. The Fitzpatrick House, across from Lewis University, or the Beller Museum of Classic Cars, and Isle a la Cache Museum of Cultural and Natural History. Welco Corners, a well-known full-service truck stop for decades that even offered haircuts, marked a junction point in current-day Bolingbrook for the 1940s realignment that sent Route 66 through Plainfield. Many gas stations were built along this new route to accommodate the increased traffic, and Plainfield residents even rented rooms to travelers. Joliet was now on alternate Route 66. But today's road trip may call for a stop-off at the Route 66 Welcome Center inside the Joliet Area Historical Museum. Pit stops for food and fuel have always been part of the fun of a Route 66 road trip. Joliet is home to the oldest continuously operating gas station on the entire Mother Road, owned by the Lambert family. And in nearby Crest Hill, Merichka's has been family-owned and operated since 1933, and they're still serving good eats like their famous Poor Boy sandwich. World War II brought change to Will County. The U.S. Navy set up shipbuilding in Rockdale to support the war effort. And Route 66 expanded to 4 lanes through Elwood to support the transport of munitions coming from the Joliet Arsenal. Today, that land has been transformed into the Midewin National Tallgrass Prairie and the Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery, places of remembrance and renewal. After the war, prosperity brought the golden age of the family road trip. Songs like Get Your Kicks on Route 66 played on car radios, and businesses like gas stations, motels, and roadside eateries flourished. When Eisenhower signed the Interstate Highway Act in 1954, it paved the way for I-55 to eventually replace Route 66. But adventure seekers continued along the old route, and businesses like Dairy Delight transformed to attract them. In 1965, owners bought a 28-foot muffler man named the Gemini Giant, who still greets travelers passing through Wilmington today. In 1975, Old Chicago, the world's first indoor amusement park, opened in Bolingbrook, where I-55 intersected with I-53 or historic Route 66. Although Route 66 signs began disappearing and the road was decommissioned in Illinois in 1977, the public wouldn't let it die. In 1985, the Polka Dot Drive-In opened in Braidwood, celebrating Route 66's nostalgia with 1950s charm. Visitors can still drive in today for burgers, jukeboxes, and photo ops with Elvis, Marilyn, and the Blues Brothers, fittingly filmed up the road at the old Joliet Prison. Route 66 history in Illinois is preserved thanks to local efforts and the Route 66 Corridor Preservation Program, established by Congress in 1999. Today, towns along the Heritage Corridor are keeping the spirit of Route 66 alive. There's so much to explore throughout Will County. As Route 66 marks its centennial, rediscover the gems along the first 100 miles and experience the fun and nostalgia of the great American road trip once more.
Time travel on Illinois' historic Route 66 at the Joliet Area Historical Museum and Sites. Start at the museum's Route 66 Welcome Center. Then, dig into a variety of exhibits the whole family will enjoy. Experience the City of Stone and Steel and tour the old Joliet Prison, made famous by the Blues Brothers, if you dare. Step into a 1950s corner store and home to Slovenian immigrants, now a museum. Or visit the Joliet Railroad Museum, one of the top train watching spots in the area. And stop by the restored guardhouse of the former Joliet Arsenal. Then, cruise to Wilmington to see the Gemini Giant. And take a mini one home. Plan your Route 66 adventure today.
An hour from Chicago along historic Route 66, a forgotten chapter of American history comes to life in a new exhibit about the Joliet Arsenal at the Joliet Area Historical Museum. Uncover the story of what was once the world's largest producer of munitions, from World War II to Vietnam. It's an explosive story of TNT and tenacity that shaped the outcome of wars and beyond. Learn how the redevelopment is serving the public in new ways. Then, experience it for yourself at Midewin National Tallgrass Prairie, where you can hike the trails and see birds, bison, and a bunker. Then, visit Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery, honoring those who served. And end your trip at the restored Arsenal Guardhouse, where it all began.
"60 miles from Chicago, near Joliet, Illinois. The first national tallgrass prairie. The largest inland port in North America, and one of the nation's largest veteran cemeteries harmoniously coexist on 23,000 acres of land that during World War II was the largest producer of munitions in the world, the Joliet Arsenal.
The Arsenal really kept our troops safe and won wars, and it was part of a defense effort, military effort we can be proud of. We can take similar pride in what's happened to that Arsenal land ever since.
This is the story of the Joliet Arsenal redevelopment, from swords to plowshares.
The Joliet Arsenal, as it's commonly referred to, began as a concept with the Ordnance Department back in the late 1930s. Hostilities were rising in Europe, and America was producing munitions and explosives and supplying to other nations around the world.
We must increase production facilities for everything needed for the Army and Navy for national defense.
The growing threat of fascism in Europe and the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor led the United States to declare war on December 8, 1941. 77 military installations were built to support the war effort. The location for ammunition production facilities like the Joliet Arsenal had to meet the Army's criteria.
It had to be at least 200 miles inland from any border to protect it from aerial bombing. It needed to be near a large available labor pool. There was a demand for large volumes of water for the TNT production process. That site had access to the Kankakee and the Des Plaines rivers. 3 significant railroads served that property. Major state highways were the avenues to transport in and out.
And wide expanses of relatively flat land would allow for ease of construction.
Prior to the Arsenal, it was all privately held land, predominantly farms. The Army mapped out 36,000 acres that they wanted to purchase. That involved 450 different properties and owners.
Farms were acquired, and construction moved quickly, beginning in the fall of 1940 with lines going into production even before building was completed.
The employment numbers at the Joliet Arsenal during World War II reached a high of over 21,000 people. Now that included people not only doing the production of munitions and explosives, but also construction people that were still working.
Women, initially hired only in administrative positions, soon took their place on the production lines as more and more men went off to fight. The Joliet Arsenal was actually 2 plants located adjacent to one another.
The West Side unit, called the Kankakee Ordnance Works, its mission was to produce high explosives and the constituent chemicals that went into it. Those explosives would include primarily TNT.
After the TNT primarily was manufactured on the west side, put on rail cars, and then moved across the Iron Bridge to the east side so it could be incorporated into the assembly of munitions.
The east side plant, very different. It was a big production line where you'd start at one end with components and at the other end you'd have a finished product, primarily aerial bombs and artillery shells.
Output was high.
Over 1 billion pounds of explosives and over 700 million pounds of bombs and shells in World War II alone.
The Joliet Arsenal was the largest TNT production facility in the world at the time. After the war, manufacturing ceased. Portions of the plant were leased, and the remaining production facilities were placed in standby status. The plant was reactivated during the Korean and Vietnam Wars, but soon after the Vietnam War ended, it was decommissioned and maintained in caretaker status. In 1993, the Army declared the 23,500-acre plant property excess.
When it finally shut down, there was questions of what are we going to do with this?
We'd faced base closures before in our state. Most of them were small. This was a big piece of real estate.
It's the size of Walt Disney World, including all of their parks.
And big questions were being asked.
Our congressman at the time, Congressman George Sangmeister, organized a commission, and they worked out their concept of what the arsenal should be.
And Congressman Jerry Weller, who succeeded Sangmeister, helped get the legislation passed.
The Illinois Land Conservation Act of 1995 created the division of property that was ultimately going to be transferred to different entities from the former Joliet Arsenal. So it set forth in law on how that would happen.
The largest portion of land, 19,100 acres, would go to the U.S. Forest Service to create the Midewin National Tallgrass Prairie. The Department of Veterans Affairs would receive close to 1,000 acres for use as a national cemetery. 455 acres would go to Will County for a landfill. And a final portion of land, close to 3,000 acres, would be given to the state of Illinois for economic redevelopment.
The Army had a lot of things that they needed to do to prepare the property for transfer.
First and foremost, the Army was required to address the environmental contamination in two main areas.
One would be in the soils of the arsenal, and second would be the impacted groundwater.
The Army began studying the environmental condition of the Joliet Arsenal in 1978, soon after it was decommissioned.
The early studies looked broadly at where the possibilities that contamination from production activities may have occurred. Subsequent studies went more and more into detail.
By 1989, both the manufacturing and load assemble package areas had been added to the national priority list for cleanup. In 1998, cleanup finally began with the signing of a Record of Decision, a three-way formal agreement between the Army, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, and the Illinois EPA.
That was the guidance for all of the cleanup. The biggest contaminant group we had was explosives in soil. That mostly occurred during TNT production process. In the earlier days, if a batch of TNT was getting out of control for some reason, it would be dumped outside the building for a safety concern.
Bioremediation was used to clean up the soils.
The contaminated soils were excavated, they were hauled to the treatment facility.
Organic material was added to the contaminated soil, causing the high concentration of nitrogen from the TNT to break down.
It's a process that accelerated what might have been a natural process anyway, but something that would have taken decades to achieve, we could do in 21 days on average. That was very innovative and got a lot of attention. It was copied many times following us.
Another environmental concern of TNT production: red water.
In the early operational days of the Joliet Arsenal, people in the community could easily see a stream that was running with a reddish or pinkish color to it.
To address this problem, the Army stopped discharging that red water into the stream and instead put it through an incineration process.
That solved one problem, but it created another, because after incinerating red water, you were left with a white powdery product that was sodium sulfate.
The Prairie View Landfill was created in part to provide safe disposal of this sodium sulfate, and it had other benefits.
The addition of the landfill into the concept plan became a win-win for everyone. Certainly for the Army, because we had a landfill to go to at no cost to us. Also for the community, it gave an outlet for their household refuse, and it also produced a revenue stream for the county.
Protecting the water is still a priority at the landfill.
Landfills are built in segments or cells, and as we do that, we have to install additional bottom liner systems. This liner system is utilized to protect the environment and the groundwater beneath it.
Groundwater wells are regularly monitored. So is methane gas.
As waste is placed into the landfill, it begins to decay, and methane is generated by that decomposing waste.
Monitoring ensures that methane gas doesn't escape into the atmosphere. The gas travels through a network of pipes to a single location where it's typically burned on a flare.
However, in this landfill, we're developing a renewable natural gas facility that will actually utilize that gas instead of burning it off.
1, 2, 3. This plant will help fuel the clean energy revolution in Illinois. We are turning our garbage into natural gas, which is good for our environment as well as good for our communities because it is revenue generating without a burden on our taxpayers.
This is a higher use of the gas that will be then taking the impurities out of that gas, pressurizing it so that it can then be put into a pipeline for use as a transportation fuel.
Will County is one of 2 in Illinois that will have a renewable energy plant. This is a wonderful green initiative for Will County.
The most significant economic benefit of the redevelopment came out of the work of the Joliet Arsenal Development Authority, or JADA. Its mission was to facilitate the reuse of 3,000 acres with diversified projects.
Our primary purpose was to create jobs and economic development that were lost when the Joliet Arsenal shut down.
JADA received the first transfer of land in 2000.
I'm so proud of what has become a national model for conversion of former military facilities to peacetime uses.
This development is going to generate a lot of jobs, thousands of construction jobs, union jobs, to help people in the area feed their families and enjoy the American dream.
The plan was to build an intermodal.
The question at that point was, you're going to build an intermodal. What's an intermodal?
An intermodal moves freight from one mode of transportation to another, from rail to truck.
The Arsenal location, that access to freeways, rail connections, and a sizable piece of land was really why that location became such a great spot.
From the beginning, union construction jobs started. Thousands over the first couple of years just to actually build the intermodal rail facilities.
The BNSF Logistics Park opened in 2002, bringing containers from West Coast ports into the Midwest.
That was product that was going to show up in your stores, landing here for the first time in a very dedicated route. The idea was the intermodal would be a huge draw for the warehousing and logistics industry.
Walmart occupied one of the first warehouses.
It was a 3.4 million square foot campus, which is basically 60 football fields under roof, and created over 1,000 jobs.
That was really when people began to understand the economic benefits of locating there near the intermodal.
You could move your product more efficiently, have your distribution center co-located next to the ramp, reducing the truck miles, and so it was a cheaper transportation.
That really created a synergy of bringing additional tenants into the park.
By 2010, demand had increased to support a second intermodal terminal operated by the Union Pacific Railroad, expanding beyond the Arsenal property.
The old cliche, if you build it, they will come, has been proven on Centerpoint.
And it's providing greater economic opportunities for local farmers.
All the empty containers have been largely filled with grain going back.
Now we have containers heading back to West Coast to destinations in Southeast Asia.
Centerpoint, the greater area around the Arsenal, have proven that they are an important engine to the local economy and the national economy.
The Centerpoint Intermodal Facilities is the fourth largest port in the country and the nation's largest inland port.
Will County has been the #1 job creator in Illinois.
We've created 3 times the amount of jobs that were lost at the Arsenal.
And we have been the #1 industrial development county in the state of Illinois, in large part because of the Centerpoint Intermodal within the Joliet Arsenal.
But with this growth came challenges.
With 20,000 trucks coming in and out of the intermodal every day, roughly, we were creating issues for roads outside of the park.
The Hobart Road extension and surrounding road improvements grew out of this challenge.
The whole idea there is move trucks in and out of the intermodals more efficiently, less emissions into the air, simpler, safer movements of trucks.
We saw a need. Government came together with labor and private businesses to alleviate some of the issues that our local residents have.
Rebuild Illinois, the $45 billion infrastructure plan passed in 2019, provided funding for road improvements in the area.
Rebuild Illinois is also a vehicle for prosperity for workers and our families.
Rebuilding this infrastructure, that's thousands of jobs.
Jobs for members of Local 150, the International Union of Operating Engineers, a union representing approximately 23,000 men and women.
We are the people that you will see out on your roads and bridges, running the cranes and the bulldozers, the backhoes.
Local 150 acquired 1,000 acres of the former arsenal, of which 300 acres was used to build a training center.
What makes it really unique, especially for this part of the country, is its size.
Not just the sheer size of this building, but the property and all the diversity of equipment that we have as well. Everything should be set up for the different modes, for the different equipment. We have simulators. It allows someone new to our industry to hop in the seat where we're not wasting fuel, sending those emissions into the environment, or damage to equipment because we are new to it. Oh, heavens.
You couldn't really duplicate building a portion of a highway at most training facilities. We can do that right now in our facility.
We would hope that it empowers the worker to confidently and competently pursue their career.
Part of what we do is not just construction, it's also the removing of old facilities. That needed to all be removed before you could even start to build whatever was going to be built out there. Local 150 has been involved in every aspect of this development, this intermodal yard, and then all of the logistics, warehousing, development to go along with that.
Local 150 members are also trained to work within the warehouses.
The skilled labor can only stay skilled as long as it continues to learn, and that's what that facility does.
On the north end of the former Arsenal, the Army is honing their skills on 3,500 acres at the Joliet training area.
It's a training area for the Army Reserve. And because we're located in the center of the largest inland port, we get the benefit of all those roads.
Roads within the training area are also an asset.
Training for the soldiers, they're required to do off-road training, on-road training, all types of conditions, all kinds of weathers. We have low river crossing, we have land navigation and map reading.
It's a one-day trip from 60% of the continental United States.
This land is an asset to the Army, mainly because units don't have to travel far. They have a weekend, they have 2 days to fit a lot of training in.
Part of the Army's history is still visible at Midewin, a quarter century after the land was transferred.
There are many buildings still standing out on the property. Things like asbestos, lead, PCBs were all removed, but the structures remain.
Each of the bunkers throughout Midewin, all 392 that we originally had from the Arsenal era, were serviced by railroad. And now it's part of our trail system.
Trails like the Henslow Trail that once carried explosives across the property now offer an opportunity for hiking, biking, and horseback riding.
We have a lot of open ground. The very nature of explosives and manufacturing and assembly of munitions meant that there was a lot of standoff space between all of those buildings. So that land was largely untouched.
And on that untouched land, prairie restoration is well underway.
At the time of the Illinois Land Conservation Act, less than 1% of land in Illinois was prairie.
Illinois once had tens of millions of acres of prairie.
One of the first basic steps of reestablishing prairie is getting seed. And so it was really important for us to establish this native seedbed right here on Midewin.
Volunteers help harvest the seeds.
Generally, we can have up to 100 volunteers that will come out at a time and really help us get this work done.
Midewin has 4 purposes:
restoration, recreation, research and education, and agriculture.
The agricultural mission is met by leasing plots of land to local farmers for row crops.
Soybeans put nitrogen back into the soil and make it fertile enough and rich enough for things to grow. And so the rotation will be corn to soybean, and then time for restoration and prairie planting. It restores the prairie in a natural way. One of the missions is for us to interact with institutions and universities for research purposes.
Recently, we partnered with University of Notre Dame, which looked at a circa 1600 Native American archaeological site, and it gave us tremendous insight into the land itself as we try to restore it to some point in the past before plows and arsenals and roads and things like that.
Water quality is being monitored at Midewin by looking at the biodiversity in the rivers and streams that once flowed red with TNT.
This is a male rusty, it's a Form 1.
Recreation is big. and bison are one of the biggest draws.
Bison were reintroduced to Midewin in 2015, an experiment to help us understand how or if their grazing patterns aid in restoration efforts.
Livestock grazing have a particular ability to leave grasslands in an uneven condition that's desirable to grassland birds for nesting.
Midewin is such a special place because there's just so many birds that you can see out here that you don't see other places in the Chicago area.
Oh, we'll enlarge that. Is that something?
Visitors also have a chance to glimpse the Arsenal's history. A bunker is open for viewing, and a statue honors 48 Arsenal workers who lost their lives in an explosion at the plant. And the sacrifices of those who served to protect our country will also be long remembered at the Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery.
The key component, I believe, that was the big selling point in this whole redevelopment was the idea of the Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery.
Congressman George Singmonster was a big part of getting Abraham Lincoln going. He took it to Illinois, took it to Washington, D.C., made his voice known.
He described to me his vision of having a national cemetery on these grounds. There was a sparkle in his eye. And I told George if he got it built, I'd be there.
He did get it built. And on October 3rd, 1999, the Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery was dedicated as the 117th National Cemetery.
Abraham Lincoln established the National Cemetery Administration back during the Civil War. So they thought what a great honor it would be to name the cemetery after him.
When fully developed, the cemetery will provide 400,000 burial spaces. Veterans and their spouses can be interred together, free of charge. But the heart of the cemetery is the care taken to honor the veterans.
We have a Memorial Day ceremony. We have 1,000 volunteers that show up that morning to help us put out flags.
The 2010 Memorial Day ceremony welcomed a special guest.
President Barack Obama came to the National Cemetery to do the Memorial Day service. We had the President of the United States in Elwood, Illinois.
Please rise for military honors.
In recognition of their service and sacrifice, each veteran receives full military honors provided by the Abraham Lincoln Memorial Squad.
Ready, aim, fire.
Out of all the national cemeteries nationwide, we're only one of 2 cemeteries that has an on-site honor guard. We have over 170 volunteers that make that group that are very dedicated.
The Memorial Squad performs on average 15 services a day.
We provided a service for a Navy veteran. And in the front row was an 8-year-old child, a little boy, dressed in a Navy uniform. And we were laying his grandfather to rest. And during the service, he stood up in that little Navy uniform, and he saluted his grandfather. And I remember his words. He said, "Grandpa, thank you for making this country safe for me." That moved all of us. And those are the kinds of things that happen here.
Congressman George Sangmeister, who died in 2007, is among the veterans buried here, along with his beloved wife, Doris.
It certainly seems appropriate to me that part of the arsenal that was used to support the warfighter in their mission on the ground is now being used as their final resting place.
The Joliet Arsenal met the needs of a country at war. Now the former Joliet Arsenal is meeting the needs of a country at peace. Honoring veterans, developing a skilled workforce, creating an infrastructure for commerce, generating renewable energy, and restoring the prairie to the prairie state.
Our project at the Joliet Arsenal really became a model for military base redevelopment in the entire country because of our collaboration with all of our different partners.
It has brought jobs, it has brought innovation, and most importantly, it has brought Will County to the forefront.
When the Arsenal was there was no tax base. So when it went private, school districts and library districts and villages and municipalities, they're going to see these new tax dollars.
We're here to celebrate the people that made it possible, from the farm families to the construction teams to the current employees that work throughout this area.
I hope that other communities that face this kind of challenge, closure of a plant, the closure of a military facility, will take a look at how we took this adverse challenge and turned it into a real positive opportunity. We're better today that the Arsenal is turned into what it is. It's going to serve generations to come through this entire century and beyond.